Well, good morning, Southern Oregon, and welcome to the Real Estate Show, our one and only weekly housing radio show brought to you by John L. Scott of Southern Oregon, Mutual of Omaha Mortgage, Guy Giles, and our local Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. I'm Alice Lema. I'm a broker here in John L. Scott. I'll be your host today. And we have such an interesting time as we're coming through the middle of October. We still have a lot of absorption to do from our fire victims. We still have people living in hotels and in RV parks. And yet we also have a lot of progress in our fire area. The market is still hard. It's hard to be a buyer, but it's definitely getting better. I don't know if you noticed, there's a lot more properties coming on the market this week. Again, we keep talking about this time as being transition. We're definitely feeling that. We're starting to see some lower appraisals, sometimes big differences, sometimes little differences. But again, all more indicators that we're stabilizing. We're coming out of the highs from the run up from the COVID, the run up from the fires, and trying again to stabilize. Our world events do make a lot of us nervous. We have a pretty big population here in Southern Oregon of senior citizens, active retired people, and they do worry a lot about if they should be buying or selling right now. But it's been a very interesting month, and we have more happening coming in the winter months. It looks like we're going to have a lot of listings coming online, which is not our normal vibe for the winter. But I think there's so much pent up sellers, people wanting to put their houses on the market. They waited through all of the COVID, they waited through the fire, and now it just seems like everybody's rushing to put their house on the market. So if you're buying, it'll be nice to have some more choices. If you're selling, listen up. The appraisals are starting to come in low. You're going to have more competition, but it's going to be fine. We're going to make it. We always do. We're Southern Oregonians, right? Today, I'm so happy to have as my guest, Mr. David Wright, the president and owner of Commercial Property Management, Inc., also known as CPM, the biggest property management company in the Southern Oregon area. And he's going to talk about what it was like for them during the shutdown and the fires, and what they look forward to 2022. Also, some interesting rental updates from the laws from our state of Oregon legislator last spring. We're also going to be welcoming Chris Barnett of Realty Executives in Grants Pass. He's going to be doing the Market Watch with me. So stay tuned for that. He's going to be talking about the Josephine County market, as well as just Southern Oregon in general. So do not touch that dial. We'll be right back with a great show. Well, welcome back to the Real Estate Show, folks. Alice Lema here, your host for today. I'm a broker at John L. Scott here in Southern Oregon, and I am so excited to welcome very, very special guest, Mr. David Wright. Good morning, David.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
And David is the owner and president of CPM, also known as Commercial Property Management, Inc. I think the biggest property management company in Southern Oregon. Is that right?
Yeah, we're a third-party management company, and we've been in business nearly 47 years now.
Wow, is that right? 47 years.
Yeah, I've been an owner in it for 20 years. So
that's fabulous. So you're also the owner and president of Remax Platinum here in Medford.
Yes. Yeah.
So you just live, breathe, drink, eat real estate.
Yeah, whether I like it or not.
Right? Yeah. Some days it's fun, some days not so much. But it's so exciting to have you on because you have such a breadth of knowledge and experience. And there's been so many weird changes and adjustments just in the tenant landlord law. And, when we were talking on the phone, just wanted you to come on the show and address some of that for our listeners.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride the last 2 years if you're a landlord and a tenant. What we have experienced since March 2020, when the governor announced the eviction moratorium here in Oregon, it's just been kind of a wild ride. When that happened, I thought, oh boy, 20 or 30% of the tenants probably aren't going to pay because they don't have to, but We, pleasantly surprised on that. We saw most people doing their best to pay. It wasn't a waiver of rent. It was just a forbearance, if you will. So we saw in our portfolio about 2 or 3% of the tenants weren't paying.
Oh, that's not very much.
Yeah, no, not as much as I thought. I mean, it added up over time because that went on for so long, but it was better than I expected. And so what happened since we've kind of gone since March 2020, the state legislatures met and a number of times with special sessions and regular session this year, and made some adjustments to landlord-tenant law right now. And so if you have past due rent from a tenant since April 2020 through June 30th, 2021, you can't do anything about that past due rent. The tenant is obligated to pay that back, and they have until February 28th, 2022 to do that. But you can't give them a non-payment of notice, of rent notice for that time period. Now, starting July 1st, 2021, if they haven't paid a current month's rent, then you can they changed it. It used to be a 72-hour notice. Now it's a 10-day notice for non-payment of rent. One of the things that the legislature did pass this year, though, is if a tenant applies for assistance after July 1st, 2021, let's say they didn't pay their rent in August, and you give them a 10-day notice. If they apply for assistance, that gives them a 60-day reprieve because because basically what the state has received as federal money to help tenants and landlords directly. So there is assistance out there. I would, if you're a tenant and you don't, you didn't know that there's still assistance available, I would reach out to Access locally or the state. There's a program called the Oregon Rental Emergency Assistance Program that will help with some past due rent as well as current and a couple months into the future. So make sure you're checking into that.
So from 2020 into 2021, a lot of landlords do not have their buildings paid off. How are people with mortgages? Because the assistance for the landlords didn't really kick in with any hurry whatsoever.
Yeah, you could talk to your bank. Oregon did pass some mortgage forbearance program or allowance. So you can talk to your bank. I've heard different stories on that, whether that, the bank, if you're doing that and you try and refi a different property or do something with a different property, it might affect you. So I would definitely check into that with your banker. It has been hard. I think that the landlords have had to kind of shoulder a lot of this burden, at least the first year of this. And even now, we're still kind of waiting for payments from the landlord compensation fund. We started to receive some payments on that. And then I'm starting to see some payments on this Oregon Emergency Rental Assistance Program from Access in the state. So that it's starting, but it's taken a while. And I feel for the landlords that are smaller and maybe don't have the resources to weather this.
So what are your landlords telling you during this whole thing? What has their reaction been?
Well, they've been frustrated, but also we've just tried to educate them on what's happening and some of their options. And then some of them, quite frankly, have been selling because the market has been hot and there's people out there looking for the smaller multifamily properties. But we're also applying for them on the landlord compensation fund, and then we're telling them that if they do have a tenant that's behind, we're giving the tenant all the resources that they are available to them so that they can get assistance too. So hopefully they can weather this and we can get back to somewhat more normal.
Yeah. What do you think 2022 is going to be like for the landlords and the tenants?
That's a good question. I think it feels like we're back to a little bit more normal, but not quite there yet. Certainly the fires of September 8th, 2020 didn't help our situation.
Well, then we had that,
area.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, that took 2,500 units out of our inventory in our area, and really, a tragic loss for a lot of people, obviously, and landlords and people who own their own homes. And so the market is tight on the rental side. There's not much available. So I know there's some money coming from the state down to our area to build some affordable housing, but that's going to take some time. I know that there's other projects on the horizon, but I just hope that people can hang on until we have more inventory out there.
So during the fires, did you have any of your properties affected?
Yeah, we had 4 mobile home parks that burned, and then a 30-unit apartment building, some 9-plexes.
Oh my gosh, that's a huge impact to CTM.
Yeah, it was about 350 units total. So I'll be honest, this last year has been one of the most challenging I've ever felt in this business.
Oh my goodness.
For us, for our tenants, for our landlords, it's just been really challenging. But we're a resilient group in this area, and I've seen a lot in the community step up and help out, and that's been good to see. We just need to keep persevering.
We do. Our Southern Oregonians amazing.
You are.
We really are. You can't keep us down.
No, we don't really have a choice, I don't think. But
well, I used to think that desperation can breed greatness if you let it.
Yeah.
So
people are getting creative out of all this, which is great to see. And so
yeah. Did you have any commercial? Did you have any commercial businesses? Do you guys manage commercial?
Yeah, we do. We had a couple in Phoenix that burned, but not too many. Most of our units that were affected were residential. So.
Wow. How horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the good news on all of that, I guess, good news is the federal government did step in and has paid for the cleanup portion. It still has been really challenging because it's a slow process on the rebuild. So, and my concern in some of the manufactured home parks is that was a lot of, quite frankly, affordable housing, if you will. And it's going to be hard to replace that the way it was. And so there aren't a lot of manufactured homes out there that are being built, or, the supply. So it's hard to get them. So it's becoming a little bit of a slower process for rebuilding those parks. But I know the state and even the federal government's trying to do what they can to help in those regards. We've got some FEMA trailers in some of the parks. In one of them that we managed, there's 70 FEMA mobile manufactured home units. And so
70.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and people, it's been a big help for those residents that had their homes burned. So it's helping, but it's a slow process, that's for sure.
So how does that work? If somebody's home burned in one of the parks that you managed, and FEMA comes in, are you putting the same person in the same space, or how are you distributing those? How are the owners distributing?
That's actually up to FEMA. They have an individual assistance program manager that does that. So but yes, I believe it's the people that had their homes burned. And I'm not exactly sure of the qualifications there, but they're handling that.
Okay.
And their goal, they still had people living in hotels. So I think their goal is to get all those.
And RV parks.
Yeah. Get those people into homes. So.
Yeah, it's a complicated scenario for sure. And then, so many of our more vulnerable residents in Southern Oregon were living, our elderly, some of our folks that were just getting started in life, and they were underinsured.
Yes.
So
yeah. It's been a sad story. My fear is those people leave the area, and a lot of it could be workforce housing that was provided. And so we just need to do everything we can to keep people here.
We do. Don't you think some of that's happened already to kind of exasperate the labor problem?
Yeah, I do actually. I mean, you see it nationwide, but we really have it here, a staffing issue.
Yeah. And so how's CPM doing with labor and all that?
We're hanging in there, but we have a maintenance company that helps do some of the maintenance on our properties, and it's been challenging to find people. It really is. It's just they're not out there.
Yeah. So is that in-house? You guys have your own maintenance crew, or do you hire that out, or both?
We hire it out, and then we also have our own.
Mm-hmm.
We have some maintenance techs for those properties that our property owners want us to use it on.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Well, and how many in property management we call it doors, but
Yeah,
if you're not in the biz, then
yeah,
how many properties do you guys manage? Because it must be a huge number.
yeah. We manage residential, commercial, homeowners associations, and manufactured home parks, and it's up over. It's probably close to 4,000 doors
Wow, really?
with all of that included. Yeah, so.
Wow. And it's two counties or three?
Mainly Jackson and Josephine. We have an office up in Grants Pass, and then we have an office in Ashland. We do some management on the coast, but that's mainly homeowners associations
Wow. Wow.
and
Well,
and and
David Wright,
Roseford.
sorry, we've got a break coming up. So we're going
Yeah.
to ask everybody to stay tuned. We're talking to
Okay.
David Wright, the owner and president of Commercial Property Management, CPM, also Remax Platinum. So much to get caught up on. We're going to be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. Do not go away. Well, welcome back, folks, to the Real Estate Show. I'm Alice Lema. I'm your host today. I'm a broker at John L. Scott in Southern Oregon, and we're brought to you by the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, John L. Scott, Southern Oregon, and Guy Giles of Mutual of Omaha Mortgage. And today we are right in the middle of this amazing conversation with Mr. David Wright, the president and owner of CPM, Commercial Property Management, and Remax Platinum, and just talking about everything that's been happening in their world, all real estate people, and 4,000, you're managing 4,000 sites, doors in your property management business. It's really quite incredible.
Yeah, thank you. It's it's a good business to kind of a necessary business, but it's been challenging, as we talked about the last year and a half to 2 years with COVID and some of the things we've been dealing with. I thought I'd mention a couple things, just about on the property management side, landlord tenant side. Residential, we talked a little bit about non-payment of rent and dealing with that. Starting in July 1st of 2021, you can do again a no-cause notice for a tenant that's in the first year of a tenancy. During the emergency period of 2020 and through June of 2021, you couldn't do a no-cause notice. But if a tenant is in on a month-to-month, and in the first year of their tenancy, starting in July, you can go back to that. Otherwise, if you're in a lease or tenant's been there over a year, you need to be careful how you handle those type situations in a violation of a rental agreement. If you're selling a property that has a rental or that has a tenant in it, let's say a single family dwelling with a tenant in it, you can't just give that tenant notice unless they've been there under a year. You have to wait till you have an accepted offer on that home before you can give a notice if the buyer is going to be occupying the property, and then it's a 90-day notice. And so I know some people out there get tripped up on that a little bit. So
one of the things I'm noticing, I'm curious about your experience, is when these properties go on the market up for sale and they have tenants in them, how many investors are buying these versus regular people? Because it used to be that you could sell it to another investor, no problem. But
yeah.
What's going on in your world with that?
With the single family dwellings that have been put on the market this last year, and especially after the fires, I've seen a lot of owner occupants buying them.
Not so many landlords, mostly
yeah,
just
I mean,
regular
it's
people.
a combination, but a lot of owner occupants, just because everybody that maybe the people that lost their homes are looking and buying in that price range, or just people moving to the area. So it seems like it's been more owner occupants. But I have seen a big uptick also in the demand for like duplexes, fourplexes.
Isn't that
It
crazy?
is crazy. I
And
mean,
they've doubled in price, some of them.
oh, and there's cash buyers running around out there looking for those. I represented a couple of clients that had a loan on it, and they just didn't get to the table because there's cash offers for a fourplex.
So
And
isn't
so
that something? And then, so you do have investors buying those or families?
a lot of times investors on the multiplex, the smaller
Uh-huh.
multiplex stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So are they
But
local or are they coming from out of the area? I'm just
a
curious.
lot of local people on the smaller stuff. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We're seeing I'm seeing some Portland people coming down looking to build larger multifamily, kind of exploring that, as well as, we're looking at seeing people that are looking to acquire larger multifamily. We even have some self-storage that we manage that, we've got some outside investors that are buying that. So
Really?
yeah, our area kind of, I don't know, it was a weird thing. The fires almost kind of put us on the map in a weird way too, in certain sectors. So
Well, and I think the COVID did too. I would get, we all thought I did when this happened, the shutdown, that I was going to have to get another job for a while. And all of a sudden my phone started ringing. I don't know if this happened to you, but
yeah,
Pete Belcastro and I, when he was hosting the show, it's like we would talk about like, we are busier than ever. People are sneaking over the border. They're not supposed to be leaving the state they live in, and they're quietly buying up all these properties. Like, did that happen to you guys?
yeah, like you said, I mean, the first few months, March and April last year, it was like, uh-oh, what's going to happen? I mean, we were all shut down, but after that, it's just been kind of crazy. And, on the sales side, just it hasn't stopped, it seems like. And then on the rental side, it was crazy just dealing with all the changes in the landlord tenant laws, and then the fires, and then the lack of inventory there, and the people that are all looking for rentals. And it's just,
You
it
feel like
has
a
been,
punching bag, huh? Like a real
I
estate
know,
punching bag.
I don't know what day or year it is anymore.
Yeah, but we are getting through it.
Yeah.
So one of the side effects of the COVID was the prices going up, and the cash buyers, people don't realize they don't get appraisals. And so, it just goes up and up and up. And then our local folks really struggle. How are your local real estate clients on the buyer side dealing with the price changes?
It's hard for those smaller multifamily properties. My clients that are selling, it's good, but those that are trying to buy, it's challenging. You really have to put an attractive offer in there, be willing to go above list in some cases. And as I said, if you're a cash buyer, you've got kind of an advantage, like you said. So, but I've seen an escalation in prices like I haven't seen in that smaller multifamily side of things.
But it's
And
really
even
encouraging to
even
have
rental prices have escalated in the last couple of years.
the rental
One thing,
prices. Hmm.
rental prices, yeah,
Hmm.
rents.
Let's
One
talk
thing I
about
should
that.
mention is there is rent control in our state now, and if you didn't know, and so it adjusts every year the cap on that, what a landlord can charge in a 12-month period, and it's 9.9% for this next year in 2022. That
Which is
adjusts
still
every
a
year,
lot.
which is still a lot. I mean, when rent control was passed a couple of years ago, my concern was that it's not too tight of a number that landlords can't, can't keep up with inflation and whatnot. But it's a 7% base plus CPI, which was 2.9% for this next year. So it's 9.9 total. I mean, and it doesn't apply to properties that were built in the last 15 years. So.
Oh, okay. So, but it seemed like part of the rent increases were because landlords woke up and said, "Oh my gosh, I have to raise my rent now because I won't get another chance." And those that had great tenants used to just kind of leave them be.
Yeah, what's interesting, for the 20 years that I've been doing this plus now, It was pretty rents were pretty static. Now we had, of course, the Great Recession in 2008, 9, and then we built back out of that. And then, now COVID, but rents were pretty static. And I think you're right. We saw that our market was behind because a lot of owners just, didn't keep up. But that's kind of changed now.
Do you think the tenant population is going to keep up with the higher rent prices?
Boy, we need more middle wage jobs that can help them keep up.
Define middle wage. What numbers are we talking about?
Well, I'm thinking, I think the average median income, boy, I probably shouldn't quote it because I don't know off the top of my head, but anything from, 40,000 a year up to 60 to 70, I would say. And I've seen things where, with 2-bedroom rents anymore, where they're averaging maybe in the 12 to 1,300 a month range and higher in some cases. It's hard for people to keep up unless they're making that amount. So
yeah. And do you have landlords renting rooms? Like they'll have a property and they're individually renting the rooms? Do you have any of that going on?
We don't in our portfolio do that, but I do know that there are options out there. And then in Ashland, we have one property that's a couple hundred units. It's quad style, so you have rooms. 4 rooms with a kind of a shared space, and bathrooms, and it's really great for students, but it's also great in this kind of environment now.
Mm-hmm. So, kind of keeps the cost down.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I wanted to loop back around was the legislation that we just had, and we were talking on the phone about the overnight guest policy. Can you kind of tell the folks what the guest policy changes were?
Yeah, that was interesting when that came through this year. So what the legislature has done is that a guest, which is not on the agreement, can stay in one of your rentals up to 15 days. And then after that, you can ask them to apply to be on a temporary occupancy agreement through February of 2028 or 2022. Sorry, February 28th of 2022. So, and I don't believe you can screen on credit and income, which is interesting.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know why they threw that in there, but I think they're trying to keep people housed during this crisis. But
so is it a temporary guest thing? But this is the state of Oregon legislating on top of whatever written contract you have with your tenant.
Correct.
I didn't even think that was legal.
Well, I don't know. There's a few things I wonder about the last couple of years that way, but we won't go into that. But yeah, because like our normal agreements say 7 days, if you or even less, if you have somebody staying there, you have to let us know, get them on. They have to apply to become part of the rental agreement. But now the state has legislated that to be a minimum of 15 days. And then, like I said, you can get them into a temporary occupancy agreement through February of next year, but it can't be any sooner than February. So you have to allow them to stay.
What happens in February?
I don't know. That's a good question. I got to find that one out. I'll update you when I find out. I don't know that they know at this point.
Oh, Lordy. So I just want to make sure everybody understands this. If you're a landlord, whether you have a written guest understanding or not with your tenants, you just got legislated over by the state of Oregon, and you now can't do anything until day 15.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, the way I interpret the law, and I'm not an attorney, so I would recommend if a property owner has questions about it, talk to an attorney. But yes, I mean, that's kind of the nature of our business the last year and a half, is the legislature and the state telling us what to do.
Yeah, well, they're trying to help. I don't want to sound like I'm bashing anybody. I'm friends with some of those people.
And I know people have been hurting the last year and a half, so I'm in the same boat. I'm not bashing it. I'm just kind of saying it's.
Well, we're also caught by surprise, right? It's like, what are you guys doing? Okay, so we're going to have to take another break here pretty quick. But before we go, the guest policy, some of the landlords are saying they're not going to allow guests at all. What do you think about that in the 10 seconds we have left with you?
I'd say be careful, check with your attorney if you're going to do that because of what the state legislature passed this year about the guest policy.
All right, check, and double check. David Wright, Commercial Property Management, owner and president, Remax Platinum, owner and president. Thank you so much. We'd love to have you back.
I'd be
Quick
happy
word
to
from
have-
our sponsors, folks. We have Market Watch coming up next. Stay tuned. Well, welcome back to the Real Estate Show, folks. I'm your host today, Alice Lema, broker at John L. Scott. Welcome to our Market Watch segment. And today we're so excited to welcome Chris Barnett of Realty Executives and Grants Pass. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Alice. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for
Good.
being on the show today.
Sure.
Josephine County is an amazing place, and you do an amazing business there as the owner of Realty Executives. And I just wanted to kind of check in with you and have you weigh in on what's going on in your market. What's it been like in the shutdown? How were you guys affected by the fires? Let's talk about it all.
Okay, Alice. Well, Jackson County, your county is just one county over, and we kind of share the counties, of course. But I know in Josephine County, the fire season was always a biggie. Every year, we kind of hope that smoke doesn't come to the valley, and it did. And what we found out that people tended to stay home. People were only going out when they absolutely needed to, and if we did go out, we just went to a few houses. It wasn't like this big old tour that we're used to seeing on a nice sunny day. People had respiratory problems. You can throw COVID into it, but the mask did a lot of good for the fire. It's really because the particulates and the smoke and the ash that it created. So we found out that some people that really had to move here, they still carried on with their mission to find a home. And we did it. We were busy this year. Even last year under COVID, we thought, hey, with the shutdowns, are we really going to be stranded in our homes? And us realtors are always mobile. And we were actually out and about. We had to do the COVID-19 protocol and safety measures and stuff like that, as we do. But we found out that people wanted to go find homes. And,
Wasn't that crazy? Weren't you shocked?
I was shocked. And not only that, but people put their homes on the market moving too. So that was another thing. And we did find a lot of people were moving out of the area and moving to other states. So those people that were moving away, of course, got replaced by the people moving in. So we're growing still. So people think, hey, everybody's moving out. That's not the case. We've been doing real estate for how long, and people come and go all the time.
Yeah, it was more like a recycling, like a resident recycling.
Yeah, I always told people, life happens. And,
yeah.
you got the beginning stages and you got your later years and there's things that happen in between and then it never stops.
Yeah. So how's the market now? Here we are kind of mid-October. We're sort of used to the COVID. It's not great, but we kind of figured it out. What's going on up there?
Well, we're finding out that people are really just wanting out of their houses. And what I mean by that is they're kind of, they're not scared. They're not scared, which means the COVID has not stopped the people that really want to move or sell their home. We're not finding it in Josephine County. Now, I know other counties are more strict, but Josephine County has been very lenient, very nice to let people just be free and express themselves the way they want to.
It's why people move there.
Well, and that's true. And
it's a more chill lifestyle.
Yeah, and nobody's doing this, nobody's doing that. I go, it's because the government here is a little bit different than some of the governments around the other parts of the state. So Josephine County is a wanted place when it comes to real estate because, like you said, the government is a little bit looser with some of the regulations.
Yeah. And the lifestyle is amazing. And it used to be that Josephine County was more affordable. What do you think about all those price run-ups?
Well, I've been here. I graduated from Hidden Valley. I've been here 35, almost 40 years. I'm not going to date myself or nothing, but I can tell you that it's grown and grown and grown. When I moved here, it was 12,000 people. Now we're up to 40,000 people. I mean, it just keeps growing and growing. And I'm like, wow, I go, we got stuff here that we never had before. And I think we're growing in a good way. Not a bad way. We needed to move forward, just like Medford has grown. Grants Pass has grown alongside Medford with it.
So one of the things that changed in the last few years was the zoning, and I know it hasn't been really adopted yet down here, but this idea that you might have, in town more houses on one lot than just the one. Do you have any investors or builders that are thinking about doing anything like that?
You're talking about the ADUs,
Yeah, yeah,
additional dwelling unit.
yeah.
So,
What's going on in your area about that?
well, I'm seeing people put things on their properties, and some of them are doing that and going through the permit process with the city or county because we are in a housing shortage. There's so much land you can build on. We're not a wide area, so they're allowing permits to convert your garage into living quarters.
Do you have a lot of people going that way?
Not so much right now, but I know that if it keeps trending the way with the prices are and stuff like that, I see people kind of coming together and going, "Hey, let's put our money together and let's build that ADU in the backyard." And I'm thinking that's going to start coming. If they cannot find a house, they're going to go ahead and do the application and build an ADU. And the only problem with that is our builders. We don't have enough to keep up with demands right now of projects. I mean, trying to get somebody to build a brand new house for you right now, you're
Trying to get somebody
list.
to fix your heater.
Trust me, we're in the business and we use vendors all the time, and I can't even get those vendors to help me with my own stuff.
Yeah.
So, because I got them busy on other projects. And I think that the shortage is definitely one of those things where it's going to take time. You don't see a rush of people building stuff because they can't.
Yeah. Well, it's also
Majors
really
can't.
expensive.
Yes, and
Yeah.
expensive.
So for 2022, do you have any predictions? Do you have any forecasts that you want to make?
Well, my forecast was at the beginning of the year with the new presidential turn that we had in January. I predicted this time the market was going to start slowing down, and I'm already seeing it. It's cooling off, and people are adjusting their prices. We're not seeing the multiple offers quite as much anymore now, and we're seeing the buyers actually offering a little less.
And getting away with it.
And they're getting away with it, and the sellers are going to have to start bending. And I said, "Hey, look," I go, some of your first offers are sometimes your best offers. I mean, do you really want to wait for that next buyer, or the market could change really fast tomorrow? And I think that we're in that right now. We're in that cooling stage. We hit our peak. I don't see us going back. Not right now. We're going to have to cool off a little bit until we play catch up. And if people want to move here, they're going to pay a price, but I think that they're going to get a little bit of a deal on negotiations a little bit more. That's what I think.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I know down in this part of the valley, we have a lot of listings in the queue. Like it's going to be a busy winter. What's the listing inventory look like for the next few months for you guys?
Well, I always tell everybody our peak season really is January through April. So right now we're in the cooling period, the end of the year, and Thanksgiving, Christmas is our big void spot where everybody takes some time off or doesn't want to buy a house during the holidays or move during the holidays. But right after January, that's where we see the biggest activity of like, it's a new year, we're going to move, or we're going to buy a house, or we're going to have a career change.
Wow. Well, you know what? We'll have to have you back and get an update on that. That could be a very interesting time to see what 2022 is shaping up at. Well, Chris Barnett, the owner of Executive Realty in Grants Pass. How do people get a hold of you if they want to talk?
541-660-5195 or grantspassrealestate.us.
And you have some braggy rights. You were just on Military Makeover, Makeover. What's it called?
I'm in Phoenix, Arizona right now. So I'm at Military Makeover, Montel Williams hosts the show. And they picked me because I'm a military veteran still serving in the Air Force. And they had me, the whole franchise, come and do a segment on the show.
Well, and thank you so much for your service. We'll look for that airing in December. Thank you, folks. We're out of time. Chris Barnett, come back. Have a beautiful Southern Oregon weekend. Bye, folks.
Bye, Alice.